Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Gideon, and it is my pleasure today to introduce President of VISO Lighting and Goddess Warrior, Tzetzy Naydenova. Tzetzy, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Courtney. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Yes, me too. Me too. Well, we've got lots to talk about and not a lot of time, so we'll jump right in. First question, I really feel that so much of how we grow up really determines, so much about us and how we see the world and whatnot. So really interested to know a little bit about your early life. Where did you grow up and what was your family like?
I had an interesting childhood. I grew up in a very small country in Eastern Europe called Bulgaria. I'm not sure if you know it, but it is a very small country that has a rich history. And I grew up in an environment that was very disciplined. My parents are both engineers. And basically, you can imagine we were studying all the time and so on and so forth. We were always on time. My father likes to go to things 15 minutes early. So he would leave us behind if we were late.
Okay.
My mother with two of us, my sister and I, running after him. So yes, very, very disciplined environment. And I actually also grew up in Libya. I lived in Libya for a few years. And that was a completely different environment because obviously it was a very strict country at the time in 86, I believe. So we couldn't really leave the expat area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we were back and forth. I have experience traveling since I was a kid.
Yeah. Wow. So was it a big family? Like, was it aunts, uncles, grandparents? Were they around?
They were around only in Bulgaria, not in Libya. So in Libya, it was just immediate family, my parents and my sister. But they were around in Bulgaria. Yes, my grandparents I was very close with. So they did pass away eventually. I'm the youngest of the family, so I guess I was 12 when they passed away. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Well, it sounds like, two very driven, disciplined, parents. This was kind of like your world.
And
Really?
sister, and sister.
And sister. She
She's
was
older, yeah. So she was
okay.
very much following their lead. Yes, yes.
Okay. And kind of like watching over you a little bit.
Trying to tell me what to do, but I'm a little bit tough that way. I do not like to be told what to do. I will deliver, but I don't want to be told what to do. So that was a bit of the tension that happened between us. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So with this upbringing and, the parents you had, the places you grew up and whatnot, how do you feel this has shaped who you are today?
Oh yeah, in a very large way. And I actually get my tenacity and determination from that environment, from my parents specifically. My mother wouldn't let me go out and play until I finished my math homework, and that was very specific. It wasn't literature; it had to be math and physics. So, and I would cry like tears, like tiger tears, because I didn't want to do the math homework. Of course, now I'm grateful. I understand why she did it. But it's definitely shaped me in a very large way. I'm super disciplined, and that has been very beneficial in the world of business, and just personally as well. Personally, business wise, I mean, you're the same person. I haven't changed, but also at the same time, I didn't like the rigidity that comes with that environment, and so I've had to work on that over time to change the rigidity and to become a little bit more easygoing and flexible and going with the flow of things rather than always controlling, because I do have a controlling side because of my environment.
Sure, exactly. But what comes up for me is that there's a lot of studies that show success in life with teaching delayed gratification in childhood. And that's what it sounds like a little bit when your mom wouldn't allow you to go play until you did your work.
Oh yeah. Oh, and she would let me cry there, and she's like, "Let's go. We're gonna do the formulas again." And I remember specifically in grade 6, we were studying the algebra formulas, the really important algebra formulas, and I just couldn't get it. For the life of me, I couldn't get it. I couldn't focus on them. My sister was this like straight A student, she would just read a book on the toilet. and bring straight A's home, and I'm just crying tears. I'm like, I want to go out.
Yeah.
But yeah, she wouldn't let me, and she had tenacity for sure and determination to teach me, and eventually I did get the formulas.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So this little girl, wanting to go out and play, all that sort of stuff. Do you remember, like, was she dreaming of becoming something one day? Was there something that she was dreaming of?
I had so many dreams. I couldn't decide whether or not I wanted to be a brain surgeon. Brain
Wow.
surgeon. I have no idea. We have doctors in our family, my cousins, but they're not surgeons, and specifically brain. I'm not sure why.
Okay.
I wanted to also be an investigative journalist. Uh,
Cool.
yeah, I love that stuff. And also a lawyer.
Okay.
But overall, what I was really an entertainer. What I am still is an entertainer. And I really wanted to be an actress. I used
Oh,
to sing, dance, act. I had I won a national singing competition when I was 12. Yeah, so I really wanted to get involved with the arts. So that's still a dream that is alive, not at this point where I'm gonna go to Hollywood, but it is something that is within me, and it comes it's like the soul that just keeps tugging away at you, saying, you need to dance, you need to write, you need to draw, maybe, whatever
wow.
creative pursuit. Yeah.
Oh, so what do you do to fulfill that creative side?
I get really creative in my business. So that's, my business, it's amazing because it's not your regular type corporate environment. And I make sure that that's not what it is. Of course, we need to have the structure.
Hmm.
But in a creative space, we do have to be very flexible with how we are, and everything comes from the top. It's how we run the show that our staff and our team is going to respond. And I find that they respond. Some people respond good to structure. Some people respond to an open environment. But creativity, if you have it inside of you, it comes from anywhere. So
Yes.
I write, I draw, I have drawn characters just without even thinking. I just take a pen and I start drawing characters. And I love writing, I love creating, I love marketing.
Hmm.
Marketing gets to, when you get to sort of run your own show and you don't have anybody telling you what to do, you get to create.
Yeah, lots of
And
freedom.
lots of freedom, and I am a risk taker, so that allows me to take risks that
Yes.
are not calculated. It's somewhat of an intuition, if you will,
Mhm.
and we're here today because of it. I love
Oh.
singing. you know, Sometimes I'll sing in front of the team, and everybody's like, oh, you need to work on those vocal cords. I'm like, I'm not 15 anymore. It's a different story now.
Oh my gosh. Is there a particular type of music that you like to sing?
I'll
Like,
sing R&B, I'll sing rap, I'll sing opera, I'll sing probably not so much, but I have done opera actually. I've been paid for an opera gig. A friend of mine needed somebody. He's just like, are you available? I need you to do this gig. I was like, okay.
oh my
Uh,
gosh.
I'll sing opera.
Okay, is there anything you can't do? Drawing, running a business, design, singing. I mean, amazing. So many amazing qualities in one woman.
Sometimes I say thank you for recognizing that, but sometimes when you want to do so many things,
Yeah.
you don't really focus on one thing and do it well, because you want to do so many things that their interests are so like vast. But I find that my interests are really within the umbrella of my business, and I get to do all of that. I get to do all of that because we need to bring personality to the business. I find that businesses are kind of flat, and I feel more businesses need to be themselves, more truthful, more in the truth. And that's what we try to bring out. And why do I need to pretend to be somebody when I'm not that person?
Yeah.
It's this is who I am, and that's that. And that's
Yeah.
taken me a long time to recognize, and also to be able to show. In a team, for example, how are you going to find gold if everybody is behind the screen, or sort of putting on a mask. And so I do encourage everybody here to show me the gold. I want the gold. I don't want the person who said, I have these skills. Great. Now let's get to the gold. Let's create. Let's create together, right? That's very important.
Wow. Wow, that's very inspiring. I would imagine to your, employees, that's just like, okay, let's do it, right? Very motivating.
Some of them are afraid.
Okay.
And some of them laugh at me and they love it. And that's great because I love that. I don't want everybody to, I know people feel uncomfortable when you get to the heart. So I tread lightly, right? And then with some people, I go all the way. And with some, I tread lightly. I try to take my time to get to the heart. And sometimes you know that you can't. And you have to fight your battles. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like, you're quite an influence to these people within your workspace, and probably it continues outside of the workspace. But in your life, maybe more, let's look at your early life, because we were talking about that a little bit. Was there anybody who was really pivotal or influential to you in your early life?
I really want to say yes, but I have to say no.
Okay.
I did not have anyone really to guide me except for my mom and my father, who were the guide, like they guided us. I didn't listen very well. I followed my own guide.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's the reason why I really didn't believe anyone. I think it comes down to truth and believing in people who are going to be mentors. I remember thinking, that's not the truth. I remember being a kid and thinking, why is everybody lying? Why is everybody, and that stayed with me through my teenage and adulthood years. I had an acting coach when I was in my 20s who really resonated with me, and she did help me break down a lot of barriers through performing and accessing these characters that are, they trigger you in a very deep way. So she definitely, I could say in my 20s, she was definitely a mentor to me, and I will still talk about her to this day. She officiated my wedding. That's, yeah. Her name is Cindy Tanis, actually. She's an amazing human being, and maybe she's not human. She's like an angel.
Maybe. Yes.
So early on, I did not. Early on, it was very much I need to follow my own guide and sort of carve my own path. I remember a teacher saying, "You're a really good writer." I was in grade 2, and overhearing her telling my mother, she needs to write. She needs to stick to writing. I haven't seen a child at her age write the way she writes, and that stuck to me. So maybe that was a bit of I looked up to her.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps it was a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? It sounds like the people who were most influential to you were the people who kind of opened up that gateway to the creative side a little bit more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely. Definitely, because the way I was raised, and also Bulgaria, even though we have some of the best opera singers and actors and dancers, it's not a real profession. It wasn't considered a real profession. You don't make money that way. You make money by being an engineer or being a doctor or a lawyer. So I was geared towards that, and I had to go and get all of my degrees and more degrees and all of that, and be educated. That was very important to me. And so a part of you gets left behind for sure.
Wow. So let's fast forward a little bit from the childhood into early adulthood. And you're talking about you went to school, you got your degrees and all of that. Was the dream of actress still there? Or, as you said, did it get left behind? Did it evolve?
It was still there, in a very large way. But I moved to Canada when I was 15. So that put a complete hard stop to every dream, because that was a very difficult time.
Okay.
Canada was a completely different country, number one at the time, but also compared to where I come from. And I didn't speak the language, and it was a shock, like it was a trauma.
Yes.
And I was 15. So that was, and my parents didn't have a job, and my sister inspired me to get a job. My sister already got a job at Coffee Time, I believe, at the time. And I said, well, she's working and I need to work. And I don't even know how I created a resume. I took my father's books. I probably copied something because I had no experience. But I created a resume and I got a job at a Coffee
Wow.
Time in Pape Village, Pape and Gamble. Pape and Gamble. It was this Macedonian couple that owned it. Maybe they liked me because I was Bulgarian. They hired me and then they fired me because I didn't show up one Sunday.
Oh my goodness.
I was a kid. I decided that being in Niagara Falls was more important. I called in sick, so they fired me, and as they,
Oh my gosh.
but I remember it to this day. And so I had to do that because my parents didn't have any money. They were looking for jobs when we arrived. And I had to make my own money. And the dream of becoming an actress, especially the time, was so closed up. I was too different looking and I didn't speak the language. Now it's so open. Now it's beautiful. But at the time, forget about it. And then my sister, because we didn't have the money, she had money. And she said, listen, I know you want to get your headshots. I'm going to pay for them. And at the time, that was 30 years ago, they were $550 at the time. Yeah. So she paid for my first ever headshots.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really special.
Yeah.
That's huge. That big move to Canada and the pressure, that must have been on you at the time. Oh my goodness, not knowing the language, like you said, that's a trauma right there. Just
it is
being ripped out almost of like everything at 15. That's hard. It's not like you were 5, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you get into the world of lighting? How did that happen?
Oh, that's fast forward 10 years, maybe. I saw the light. I fell in love. I fell hard in love with my husband, who is the founder and the creator of the company.
Okay.
And I saw the light. I always say, I mean, that's a long story because that's a 14-hour first date that ended up in falling in love and seeing the light. And it took me a couple of years to close down my company at the time and really come to VISO full time to help. And I mean, the rest is history. But if you want to do another podcast on love and light and how you run a partnership together, married,
yes, please.
Now there's a story there too. Yeah,
I do.
I fell in love.
I'm really interested to talk to you about that because I also do couples counseling. So really interested to understand how you make that work.
Oh yeah, that's another one. That's another podcast.
For sure. So, I mean, other than your husband, what do you love so much about what you do?
This work is, first of all, never the same. Every day is different. I don't do the same thing. It's incredible. I have to, even though it's very stressful to do that, I have to wear different hats a number of times per day. It's not even just every day. Today I'm going to be in operations and tomorrow in marketing. It's throughout the day, you're going to be a sales, marketing, operations, assembly, production, something, mentor, something like that, HR. And you get to really learn a lot through doing that. And I get to travel. So I've seen the world because my job takes me there. Right. I've seen some of the most beautiful hotels in the world because my job takes me there. That's what we do. We get to create something new all the time because we're a custom business. We do have some brand that we design and put in our collection, but mostly we do everything custom. So everything is new every single time. And that is super stressful, but that gives me the opportunity to create and to innovate and to see where we're going to go. And that's not for everybody. It's not for everyone. And I also get to recruit. I hire everybody. I interview everybody. I mentor them. I love working with the teams. When I hold my meetings, they're normally on a positive note. I usually bribe people with food and drinks so they can listen.
Yeah.
But we do have a great time together as a team. And just to see people's development is very near and dear to my heart. And what they can come up with if given the opportunity, because a lot of people don't get opportunities, and we do things differently here.
And don't you find too, a lot of people think that the opportunity is this when really it can be this?
Yeah. Oh, it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
And that's difficult to teach, because there's a lot that needs changing in order for that to happen. And sometimes you can't go all the way with certain personalities. You just can't. And the thing is, I don't want all of them to be managers. I need some people to do the work too. So it just really depends. It really depends. But we have a wonderful team, and it hasn't always been that way. It's been this way recently in the last 3 years. And it's because I finally put my finger on the pulse again, because COVID kind of threw us off mentally.
Sure. Of course.
Yeah.
Well, it's, in terms of team, it sounds like the people that, help you make up this company sound very important to you and really a pivotal part of the success and so much about it. So, it seems like it's quite the team. So tell me a little bit about what it's like to be a leader to so many people.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Leadership, when I was younger, in my 20s, I used to want to be a manager and lead people and have a team, and I wanted to teach them. And I remember that want so much, and I did. And then it got real, and it's so difficult because I'm dealing with human beings. And I think a lot of people forget that when they're leading, that it's not a robot or a number, or I'm dealing with human beings who have a life, who have problems, who have challenges, who worry about money, who worry about their kids, who have a whole big thing happening in their lives, not just in here, but also outside of here. And I have to remember that often, because as a leader, I find that sometimes you're like, I need to think of the company also.
Sure.
Right? How do I lead these people to perform for their benefit, but also, if it's their benefit, it's the company's benefit. But sometimes the leadership happens when you focus on things that are outside of the work.
And then because of that, then they tend to, because you've seen them, do you think it's about like seeing them, that it's not just here, it's more outside too? Is that what you kind of mean?
That's interesting. I'm probably going to ask them.
Yeah.
If I haven't asked, but I think it's important to be seen and to be understood.
Yeah.
And to share. I find that sometimes it's better to share with someone that is not in your immediate environment personally than to share with your closest friend.
Yeah.
People are generally afraid of judgment. And here I want to create a safe space for everybody. Everybody knows that, because if there's something happening, I'd like to know about it so that we can work on it.
Yes.
And that's the best. I do, like you, like to ask very deep pointed questions. I am very interested in the human psyche, if you will, human development. And so part of my leadership and why I love doing it is I want to take you there. I want to make your dreams come true. What can I do, even if it's this small, to take you a step further? And I always say to everybody, this is not just for my company. This is going to stay with you for life. So if eventually you decide to take another opportunity, you're going to remember this interaction, because you're going to take this and apply it somewhere. And then I've done my job. So it's bigger than the company.
Yes.
Bigger than the company.
Wow. Wow. So mentorship is also important to you. So there's the leadership and there's also the mentorship. Do you see those as two different things? And why is the mentorship piece so important too?
I think they go hand in hand. And I think the best leaders are also mentors. And it's because it's not selfish, or maybe it is. I mean, why do we mentor, right? Like, I don't think it's a selfish thing. Maybe it is. Maybe when I see somebody succeed, even if it's outside of here, it makes me feel good that I've had a part in that.
Sure.
Maybe it is a event, at the end of the day, it's something that I've done that's good for someone.
Sure.
And it's also my way of giving back. And I think that's not done enough. There's just so much going on in the world that focusing on someone else is very difficult. And therefore, leadership and mentorships are very difficult.
Yes. But
Yeah.
also I find it very rewarding.
Very rewarding. That's why I'm saying maybe it's a selfish thing. I
Well,
don't know.
I mean, we do things that, but as humans, we do things that make us feel good. That's just normal. There's nothing strange or weird about that, right? Like you wouldn't expect yourself to do something every single day that brings you discomfort or pain, or that wouldn't last very long. So, it
Right,
makes a lot of
right.
sense that this feels good for you. And so it's just like, yeah, I'm going to lean in there. And obviously you're very good at it, right? And passionate about it and get something from it too, which I think is wonderful and beautiful. And speaking of like continuing on the mentorship road, did you have a mentor? Do you have a mentor?
I followed my own guide.
Yeah.
Something inside of me always said, don't listen. So I can follow, but I cannot be told what to do. So that's the thing. Because I come up with my own stuff always in my head, something comes up. And I mean, a part of my husband and I running the company together and being married, that's a part of it, because there's tension there always. Like, what do you mean you want to do that? Well, we got to do this. No, we have to do this. So
Right.
we've had to come to a bit of a dance together. That's a bit more flowy, and then that's a work in progress, obviously.
Sure.
But it has been a very, very long time, so we're really good at it now.
Amazing. You guys know the dance. You know the
Yeah,
dance.
we know the dance, and I think we're also each other's mentors in a
Okay.
way, indirectly. And for me, also the team. Sometimes the team, it just the brilliance that comes out. Sometimes I'm just wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's brilliant. So I think
Yeah.
mentors can be anything or anyone. You just have to look at that and see it and accept it.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So what I also think is wonderful is that you are supporting VISO Lighting is partnering with the Women Empowerment Awards. So, thank you so much for doing that. That's so wonderful. Why is it important for you to support this organization, Women Empowerment Awards?
I just got goosebumps. I
About
feel
those.
very strongly about opportunities. And I know what I've been through, and I know how difficult the road has been, and how much I've had to fight personally. And probably that's my own personality too, because I don't want to listen to anybody.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel very alone on this journey where I've had to do things myself and really create my own opportunities. And I've had to forget who I am as a woman in order to create these opportunities and to be heard and to be seen. And sort of neglected my femininity because that didn't really give me opportunities.
Interesting.
And so for me, it's important that we pay attention to who are we as women. I mean, did anybody ever teach us? No, right? We just kind of became what society needed us to be,
Right.
and we forgot who we are. And so I want to bring that back, and I want to bring awareness, like, who are we, and really celebrate that, because we're a divine feminine creator. We're the creator, and we can't create unless we really know who we are. And that's why I decided that this is a partnership for me and the company, because we focus on hiring at least 50% women here. It is a more technical company because it is lighting design, like it's more technical and manufacturing. So
Yeah.
you don't get a lot of women who want to get into manufacturing, but we do try to really fill the roles with more female leadership and also up and coming trades and so on and so forth. Actually, one of the longest employees we've had here, she has been with us for 15 years.
Wow.
And she is in our production environment.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, like you said, you to get where you are, it sounds a little bit like you had to, like you said, kind of forget who you are. You kind of said, I kind of had to change that piece. And my next question was going to be about, as a woman in leadership, coming across adversity or big obstacles and how you overcame them. Is that kind of how you did it? You shelved certain parts of yourself just to kind of drive forward?
Yes. Yes. I've had to use profanity. That resonated with certain people on the executive table. It makes them shut up and listen, right?
Yeah.
I've had to go there, and that's not a very nice part. I've had to then, and of course, you don't listen because you're not being listened to. So that kind of goes hand in hand. And when that happens, and as a woman to take that approach, you're not labeled very nicely.
Right.
So I've been on the receiving end of that too. And then you fall into this cycle that you forget who you really are because you're on a ladder of success, or I don't even know, achievement.
Sure.
There's no time to be a woman and to celebrate that. But what is that? Right? So then I've had to rediscover myself. What is it? Who am I as a woman, as a feminine, as a creator? That's where our power is. That's where the power is. And that's where our light is. And I let all these people dim my light all these years, and not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Well, and that's maybe kind of ties into what you said in the beginning about, not being able to be who you are. And now through your journey and experience and, all of these things, stepping back into, well, rediscovering and then like wearing that proudly, like celebrating who you are, not
And
denying.
and almost being given permission. It's like we're waiting to be given permission to be a divine feminine, beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Because nobody, at least not in my life, really said, this is who you are and this is what that is. I just learned on my own what I needed to be in order to succeed.
Right.
And that was that success, right? Achievement, part of my personality. But
yeah,
it's climbing the ladder, it's doing more, it's making more money, or was being more, so all of that, it's not really who you truly are. It's somebody who you need to be to do all of that. So instead of being, you're doing.
Yes. Yeah. Feels like a little bit of a dissociation in a sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
And things may have changed now, but I still see a lot in our environment where the mask goes on, and
Sure.
we don't really honor ourselves as women. So it's important for me to spread the awareness, to talk about it more, to give permission and to encourage, and not have judgment, because everybody's so different and so beautiful. And that's what makes us so beautiful, because we are so different. And we can learn so much. Yeah, so that's whatever I can do within my power. I try to do that now. Yeah.
That's a very powerful reason. Very powerful reason, very moving reason to support the Women Empowerment Awards. Thank you for your vulnerability and just, in sharing that piece with your work and carving out, maybe who you are and all that sort of stuff. You have designed your own collection. Well, can you give us a little bit of insight into how that came to be? How did that start? How did that vision, just that process a little bit of how you did that?
Yeah, so I'm not a designer. I don't get inspiration and do mood boards. Most designers, that's what they do. They'll do mood boards. They'll start sketching and wherever it takes them. I don't have really any inspiration that I can point out, but I do get to travel. So for me, just the environment is inspiring, and I do take it all in. Nature is super inspiring. I take all that in. But what happens to me is I get images that kind of drop into my mind's eye, and it's a complete image of what I want to draw. And and I just get the image and I draw it. And sometimes I get it in dreams. But I mean, think about it. I live and breathe this business. So,
Sure.
I dream about lights. That's not, uncommon for
No.
anybody who is running their business. So I just draw them the next day. And I it's not like I can draw. I just take a pen, just a simple pen and a piece of paper, and I just start drawing and specifying the sizes, and it looks like a squibble, and I give it to our industrial design team, and I say, can you just make it look presentable on SolidWorks, which is the program we use, so that we can manufacture it. And that's how it happens. It's a very momentous, it's in the moment, it's like this, and it's not all the time, but when it comes, it's complete.
That is very cool. Really neat. Any other collections coming up? Have you had any more of those, those visions come to you recently?
I have a lot.
Okay.
They're still on paper.
Yeah.
This is usually the paper I use. It's very small.
Okay.
I have not even given it to the industrial design team because we're just really busy with regular projects.
Right.
And I can't take that time away from them because we need to deliver it to clients first.
Sure.
And then if somebody has time, we'll design for the collection.
Yes.
But we do a lot of custom work. So, 90% of our business is all custom. But it's cool when something comes and you can create.
Yeah. Well, I've looked at your website and the spaces that you guys have been able to work in. I mean, oh, they're gorgeous. They're so beautiful. It's like, yes, I would like to be there, please. It's that sort of feeling. Really, really, really beautiful work.
Thank you.
Bit of a different topic. So I'm in the world of mental health. It's very important to me, and my studies and all that sort of stuff. What do you do as a business leader, as an entrepreneur, as a woman? What do you do for your mental health? Because I would imagine there's a lot of pressure that comes with this job.
Yeah, I do a lot more now than ever. It's a combination of things. So I'm very physical. Yeah. I work out. I have a gym. Well, thank you, COVID. I made a gym in my house.
Yes.
And it's early mornings for me. The first thing, it's my workout. I lift heavy weights, and then I have meditation walks, and those are very important to me. That's something that's recent because I have an injury that prevents me from doing anything like high intensity.
Okay.
So walking for me has now become super important, and actually walking is amazing. I know some of the things that comes to my mind just while I walk are brilliant. That's why I call them meditation walks. My team, my marketing team will get like a slew of emails with ideas during my meditation walks. I'm like, sorry for all the emails, but they're just like one-liners, and then something else comes, one-liner, and I'm on my phone walking. And that's why I call them meditation walks, because it helps me clear my mind. And that's why I think I get so many ideas. Meditate. I used to meditate, but I find that now this is really working for me. And I also work with a soul coach, spiritual coach. Yeah.
Wonderful.
That's why I'm saying it's a lot. It's actually a lot that I do for mental health.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. That's so important. It's so important to our overall health, right? So the fact that you're doing all of those things, I think, is wonderful.
It's not pretty to work with a spiritual coach. It's getting down deep.
Yeah.
And you have to look at some things and accept and work on that. And it's not easy. I have to say that that's very courageous. I know I'm talking about myself, but whoever does it, it's not a piece of cake.
No, that, and like anybody who really does any sort of like therapy, like deeper type of work, it's all really, really hard work.
Yeah,
it's work. But
yeah, it's work. It's work.
Wow. But it's it's yourself, so it's worth it. It's worth to do the work. Yeah.
And it's so important because of how I find that it's required for somebody like me. I need to show up for myself, and I need to show up for everybody else.
That's
right. In the most beautiful way, because all these things that we talked about, if I'm going to do them, then I need to do them right by everybody, myself and by my team and the clients and the suppliers and you guys, everybody. So there's a lot actually. And that's what it's about. That's really what the bottom line is.
Yeah. Well, and I find a lot of value in reflection when you can just sit back and reflect on things. There's a lot of value. And time is really precious and we only have so much of it. So for you, and I'm going to keep it pretty specific, like the last year, looking back at your last year, if you can reflect on it, are there any lessons that you've learned from, 2023?
So many. But I know that I need to make it concise. Slow down, slow down, slow down.
That's a really important.
We always think about future. Well, the future hasn't happened, and usually we think about the future with like a negative connotation. Oh my God. No, slow down and really be here now, because it's the only thing that matters right now. And my brain works like so for me, definitely slow down and trust the process, and everything is going to be okay. Everything's going to work out. It's such a simple lesson, but very difficult to learn. And I think that walking meditations have really, really helped me with that, because you can't make a walk faster. It's not like you can run and run faster. There's only so fast you can walk. So it's a slow thing. It takes time. And that means that maybe you're not going to be there for a meeting, and you should be okay with that, because that time that you're giving yourself and you're slowing down is what's really the most important right now.
So it's been a bit tough. Like it sounds like slowing down has been an important lesson, but it sounds like it's been a little tough to kind of sink your teeth or just relax into that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, good for you. I mean, that's a really important lesson. I think slowing down is something we could all really benefit from. And some people, when they slow down, certain things start to come up, and that's why they prefer to just keep moving on. But, true lessons of ourselves and life require that, slowing down and just that reflection piece. So,
and it's not just the walking. It's when somebody's talking to us, let's not dismiss them, because we tend to dismiss people.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I had a courier the other day deliver something to my house. He was an older gentleman. Just a quick story.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, this is your house. This is for you." And I said, "Thank you very much." And of course, natural thing is, see ya.
Yeah.
And I decided, no, I'm going to sit here and talk to this old man who probably, well, he's definitely retired, and now he's doing that. And he doesn't have many people to talk to. And I stayed and I slowed down and I stayed and I talked to him for half an hour. And it was beautiful.
Wow.
Because he told me about how he was a teacher and now he loves delivering around the city. And he told me about his stories about the bad drivers in Toronto because nobody wants to slow down. And we had a very nice exchange. And I made a conscious effort to do that because I never do that. It's not just the walking, it's slowing down with everything that we do and doing it with intention. We forget about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so that was really nice. That felt good.
I love that. That's a really special moment for sure.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about time, our time has come, but there is one last question, and I ask this to everybody because I think it's really important. If you had one piece of advice for a young Tzetzy, what would it be?
Follow your heart, follow your dream. I didn't. I kind of did. I wanted to be in business, but not really. Yeah. I wanted to really be an entertainer, comedian. I love making people laugh. That's what's really true in my heart. And I shied away from it. I didn't do it. I did it for some time, but it was hard and I shied away. Oh, it's easy for me to do business. I'll just do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Follow your heart.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And I'm going to be searching for audition notices and I'm going to be sending them your way. Okay. We're going to do this.
I'm probably gonna like shy away from it, you know.
Oh my gosh, what a pleasure. Honestly, thank you so much for your time today. You know, it's not a lot of time. It's just really scratching the surface, but thank you for sharing a little bit more about your journey and why it's important for you to be involved with the women empowerment, and just an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Courtney. I really enjoyed myself. As you can see, I like talking. So, you know.
Wonderful. All right, take care.
Thank you. You too.